everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about Miss Dior. So the fragrance from Dior, probably one of their most popular female fragrances, has gone through quite a few iterations over its lifetime. Started out back in 1947 as a very green, sharp, floral fragrance. I think it's a Chypre fragrance. Then it got reformulated. Well, no, it didn't get reformulated. It's now called Miss Dior Original. Of course, it has gone through some reformulations over the years, but it's still a sharp green floral. I'm not going to be talking about that particular Miss Dior. So we're not talking about Miss Dior Original, and that's the one that has the houndstooth design all around the bottle. What we're talking about is the ones that look like this. This particular bottle is called Miss Dior Cherie and it's from 2009. And then I also have here this one. This is also called Miss Dior Cherie, but this is from 2012, I think, or is it 11? It's from 2011. It has the batch code engraved here. I don't know that that will catch on camera, but it's got a 1, which means it's 2011. So I'm going to talk about these two on this video, but I am actually going to do an overview of lots of different, I'm not going to be able to track down all the different reformulations and variations of Miss Dior because there's a lot, but I am trying to track down the most important ones. So we're not going to go into the flankers to start with, just Miss Dior and Miss Dior Cherie. What happened then? The first Miss Dior Cherie was the one that came in it's the same sort of bottle, but no label across the front. It had metallic writing, big metallic silvery writing. It just says Miss Dior Cherie, no label. That was the very first variation, the first one that was completely different to the original Miss Dior from 1947. I have a bottle of that on the way, so we will be talking about that. But this is I believe this is the next version of it. So you had that one from 2005, and then and the perfumer is Nagel, and then there was a slight change and they changed the bottle, so you now have this flat, this completely flat front face, and the white label still says Miss Dior Cherie, and we're talking about the eau de parfums. And I believe this version here is slightly different from the Miss Dior Cherie, but we'll be checking that ourselves. And I actually have a tester here, so it's got the notes on the side, and it's got Italian Mandarin Essence, Egyptian Jasmine Absolute, Indian Tuberose Absolute and Patchouli Essence. They are the only notes listed on this bottle. Apparently the original Miss Dior Cherie has a note of strawberry and a note of popcorn, and from reading about this should have the strawberry, and I believe it's supposed to have the popcorn note in it as well. So then the next iteration was actually a reformulation by another perfumer. So the next one that came along was this one that I have here. So you can see the face is not flat. This label is indented, it's not flat. So that's how you can tell this is the next one. And this is actually when Francois Demachy came on the scene and he reformulated it. And we're going to talk about the differences just between these two fragrances because I've gone on too long now. So I'm going to go on my left hand with Miss Dior Cherie. I have been wearing these a lot over the last couple of weeks. I had this one first, I've had this one longer. This is only a 30ml. I'm going to spray quite a lot because they are quite light fragrances. So this is a used bottle that I found on eBay. I'm confident that I've got a genuine bottle. I've got the CD inscripted on the top of the lid. I've got the batch code on the back, And when you look at the label from this side, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I can read that it's a 30ml 1 fluid ounce Christian Dior. All of that you can actually see through. So that tells me I'm quite happy that this is a genuine bottle. You have to be really careful. They are copied. That's the 2011 one I sprayed on my left arm. And then on my right arm, we are going on with Miss Dior Cherie, the 2009. This is a 100ml bottle, so it's a nice big one. And I have been overspraying this. and again, you can see if you look at the label that it has the volume on there and the Parfums Christian Dior. You've got the CD on the lid. You've got a batch code. Batch code is on the back. They're really hard to find. It's just above my fingernail. You probably can't make it out. But it's 9Y01, I think that is. So I'm confident that this is genuine as well. So this was the first. This came first, then came this, and we have different perfumers. So do I detect any differences? I do, for sure. And what I'm finding is that there's different stages to each perfume. They're quite similar, but there's sometimes I feel like I like one better than the other. So let's talk about the opening then. So the more modern version is a bright, sharp, floral with a hint of a fruit and a hint of depth, which I guess comes from patchouli. I wouldn't necessarily pick out strawberry, whether that's in there or not, I don't know. It does have just a sort of a generic floral feel. It's got a sharpness to it, much like Coco Mademoiselle by Chanel, because you do have jasmine and orange blossom. But this isn't an orangey kind of scent. Like some orange blossom scents can be very orangey. I wouldn't say that this is overtly orangey. It's fresh, it's slightly sharp, it's a little bit sweet, and then the older version, this one is the older version, is actually more mellow. It's kind of, I guess it's similar, but it's muskier, it's mellowed out, almost like a hint of a white woodsness to it. It still smells floral, but not so fruity and not so sharp. It's a tiny bit rosy, so rose and white florals and musk, but then all kind of quite mellow. A little bit more like a laundry musk kind of feel to this, whereas the modern reformulation, the Demachy, we'll call this a Demachy reformulation, is sharper, more like Coco Mademoiselle. This older formulation is muskier, smoother, cleaner. They have the same profile. You can tell they've got the same sort of ingredients, but definitely the reformulation at this point, at the opening point, is quite a bit sharper. This is more elegant. The older version is more elegant and probably a more, I would say, a more mature scent, the sort of scent that you might want to wear to the office, whereas the Demachy version is the sort of scent that you would maybe wear for drinks after work or on a date or something like that. Not that you couldn't wear the older version to those things as well, but it just is a more toned down, a slightly more grown up feel to it. So that's it for now, and we'll come back with some more in a bit. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes on my skin, and there are very distinct differences between these two perfumes. Whilst you can tell they are related, that's my cat who just sneezed, by the way. She's literally just here because she has to be involved in everything, don't you, darling? So the one on my left wrist is the Demachy reformulation. And it definitely starts out much brighter, fruitier. Here she comes. Brighter, fruitier, fresher, I guess sharper, a little bit screechier. The bigger bottle, which is the older version, is very creamy and smooth. The florals are muted and soft. It smells more rosy, much less fruity. Certainly nothing really sharp going on in this older version. But the Miss Dior by Demachy is bearing some similarities. You can tell that underneath the sharper fruity floral elements is this smooth, creamy, almost like a lotion kind of scent, or like a thick, creamy, expensive lotion. And I think that's coming from musks and patchouli. The patchouli isn't overwhelming in either version, but I'd say it's stronger actually in the older bottle, this one. And it's creamy and it lends it a slightly non-sweet, not exactly earthiness, but just a hint of something deeper and contradictory to the sweetness. So it's only lightly sweet, and it is definitely, it's a patchouli fragrance, but it's not too earthy, it's not too dirty, it's not too hippie-ish. Whereas the newer version here is more fun, because you can smell the strawberry note. I don't feel like I actually get a strawberry note in the other version, but in this more modern version I can smell a sharp strawberry and some sharp, fun, flirty fruitiness with a little bit of that creamy, smooth, musky patchouli sitting underneath it. So it's been 3 hours since I initially sprayed both perfumes. The older version, the 2009 Christine Nagel, which is here, as I said earlier, it went kind of creamy, smooth, musky patchouli. I feel like I was getting a little bit more of a floral hint just a moment ago when I was smelling it sat over there. Weirdly, I've come over here and it's colder in this area of the house. This is a conservatory. I don't know if that's made a difference, but I'm now not smelling that sweetness again. So it just smells like a creamy, your skin but better skin scent, really. Now the Demachy reformulation, so the more recent version, has a little bit more going on. It's a little bit more interesting. I can smell fruits and florals and a sweetness, like almost like there's just a hint of something vanilla-y or ambery in the base. It has a little bit of grit as well, a little bit of texture. I still get the creamy, musky patchouli, but there's just these other layers that make the Demachy version, to me, more interesting than the Christine Nagel formulation. from doing my research, a lot of people say that the 2005 original formula is the same as what's in this bottle here, but I'm really hoping that's not the case, because this is a little bit boring, and the 2005 original version has notes, quite a long list of notes: pineapple, violet, popcorn, strawberry, and a whole host of other notes that sound like a much more fun fragrance. People always talk about the popcorn and the strawberry, but looking at the notes, there's a lot more going on in that 2005 version, and my interest is with the violet note. I'm wondering whether that will be noticeable. So I really don't believe that this version is going to be exactly the same as the 2005 version with the metallic writing. I will be finding out, because I've got a bottle on its way to me, and of course I'll be sharing that with you. But for now, I actually think I prefer the slightly more modern version out of these two. So this is the Miss Dior with the indented bit and the white label. I seem to be preferring that over that one. I don't really perceive too much more to be going on in terms of the scent changing now. From my previous trials, they're quite light, although it really seems to vary. It depends where I go, what I do, the temperature. I think I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you an answer in terms of longevity and projection. At the moment, it's quite light. I'm wearing the this one, the smaller bottle, the Demachy version, all around here. And I find with both, I've worn both a few times, that I don't get a lot of projection. I get more of a sillage. So it's not just a skin scent, but if I stand still, there's nothing that's coming up from the warmth of my skin. However, if I just do a little movement, then I get it. And I get that with both. So at the moment, I can't tell you which one performs better. And I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's all about what one you like or what one you love. And I think for me, and I'm really surprised to come to this conclusion, I actually prefer the Demachy reformulation. So this is the 2011 version of Miss Dior Cherie. And I'm really surprised at that, because you kind of expect to love the older versions of everything. When you really get into perfumes and vintages, most people love the one you can't get anymore, the older version, because usually the oldest versions have the stronger materials, more concentrated materials, and more natural materials, the things that get reformulated out because they're either too expensive or they are considered skin irritants. So I'm really surprised at my conclusion at the moment, and this may change. This is going to be a journey. This isn't me sitting here definitively saying this is better than this, just that at the moment this one matches my taste and it interests me a little more than this one. But I will be coming back to you with more comparisons of different formulations as and when I've got them, and then eventually there'll be an overview. I will show you every bottle that I've accumulated and talk just quickly about each one, because that might be useful to some of you if you are also falling down a Miss Dior rabbit hole like I am. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.